McCabe signs a 5-year extension with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But before we talk about that, let's talk about Overdrive Hockey. Overdrive Hockey is the flagship program on the Game Over Network. Maxime Van Hoot and Daphne to cover hockey with humor, analysis, and a strong voice, unafraid to talk about the real issues. Listen Tuesdays and Fridays on our network's main channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Toronto Maple Leafs signed Jake McCabe to a 5-year contract extension. The contract carries an AAV of 4.1. They used deferred income from the first 2 years to the last 2. It's originally on paper supposed to be 4.7, but with the deferred income, it brings it down to 4.1 per year. I think this is great. Jake McCabe is a great defensive defenseman who has some offensive upside, but he is great. He is learning under Brandon Tanev, who is a great person to be ahead of him on the defensive end and to learn from and to mold his game after and become once Brandon Tanev can't play the style he plays anymore. I think it's great. I think Jake McCabe could have got 5+ somewhere else, being lured to another team where he could get more minutes and more playing time and potential to play a more offensive game. But he wanted to be a Maple Leaf. He stays a Maple Leaf. And I think it's a great signing, and I think it's a sign that Craig Berube really likes this player and sees him here for the long haul. Looking at the schedule this week, the Leafs have their 3rd back-to-back game in as many weeks. It's 3 back-to-backs already in 3 weeks of the season. So I decided I'm going to do some research. I'm going to look into this, and the Leafs, up until New Year's, have 9 back-to-backs. So October, November, December. 3 months. 3 months. And there's 9 back-to-backs. So that means 1 week a month, the Leafs will not play a back-to-back. That's a lot. That's 32 of your 32 of your 82 games are played as back-to-backs. And I went and looked, I said, okay, well, does any other teams play that many? And the only other team that has the same amount as them, the Leafs play 16 back-to-backs this season. The only other team with that many is Carolina. Then Montreal has 15. And then the median average after that is 12. So the Leafs are playing 4 extra back-to-backs than every other team. And so if you're the coaching staff of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and clearly the Leafs are struggling on back-to-backs, what do you do? What do you need to do? I think you need to start planning for this. You need to start being like, okay, we know we have the league's most with Carolina back-to-backs this season. So what can we do to set ourselves up for success on that second half of the back-to-back? Now, the Leafs in the back-to-backs have lost the first one in Montreal, won the second. And then this past week, they lost both. And then they won the first one, Tampa. They lost to Columbus, and they lost every game after that. And then this week, later on in the week, Saturday, Sunday, back-to-backs. So you got Hockey Night in Canada for game 1, and then you got Sunday. So you got to come out prepared. You got to think of the coaching staff thinking like, okay, what do we got to do to make this and make our team effective going into these back-to-backs? Lineup changes for tonight. Tonight's game is on Amazon Prime. It is a all-Canadian matchup on Amazon Prime. So I'm interested to... I love the broadcast. I think my biggest takeaway from the broadcast has just been when the Canadian team plays an American team, the broadcast seems to favor the American team. So I'm interested to see it with it being 2 Canadian teams, how they fare out, who they seem to favor more than the other. Puck drops at 4:30, and like I said, it's against the Winnipeg Jets, which means Game Over will have a crossover episode today. So tonight we will have Lauren and Brendan on the Game Over crossover, Winnipeg versus Toronto. Following the game, they'll break down the whole game, talk about both sides of play, and give you all of your analysis from the game. Lineup changes for tonight. Robertson, he's out. I think that's interesting because Craig Berube has not spoke ill of Robertson. Robertson's played very well. He's called him a dog on a bone. Robertson, I don't know why he's the one being scratched. I mean, we've seen Pacioretty scratched, and he just said we've got too many players. Somebody's got to come out eventually. So it could just be as simple as that, and I'm reading too much into it. But Robertson out, Holmgren in, and then on defense, Myers out, Timmins in. Stolarz gets the start. Stolarz played phenomenal on the losing effort on Saturday. I expect a big game from the whole team and Stolarz coming into tonight. Winnipeg is undefeated. They are 8-0. The Leafs got to play the spoiler. They're the It's not going to say this very often, but the Leafs are the underdogs coming into this game. Some changes also on the Leafs on power play unit 1. We now have Pacioretty, Matthews, Nyes. And then on the back end, it's Marner and Riley for PP1. PP2 is Nylander, Domi, McMahon, OEL, Tavares. I really like it. I think the changes are good. I think we got to keep going, and we got to figure out a way to make this team set up for success because their power play has not been good. We saw an uptick a little when OEL got moved on to that top unit, and then the right back, it doesn't look like a team on a power play. They do not look like they have a man advantage, and that's what the power play is. It's a man advantage. So let's see a different Leaf team come out tonight. Let's see how everyone goes. Like I said, right after the game, crossover, game over. Lauren, Brendan will be breaking down the game. I can't wait. Thank you all so much. If you like the content, like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Be good to one another, everybody. It's game day.